Get started with this Halloween card we're going to create here. I'm going to zoom in. And remember, we're using an A2 envelope. That envelope size is a standard size. When it folds down, it should be 5.75 by 4.375 inches. This is on week 4 on D2L that you can see it online. All of these were uploaded on the weekly area there with the weekly sheet. The insert size for our card folded down will be 5.5 by 4.125 inches. So this example right here is in that document how you'll set yours up, and there also are instructions here, quick instructions for the 8.5 by 11 setup flat. And there's a template. You want to do a really thin line here with a lighter color, 40% K, which is 40% of black. And we're going to scan the image, do an image trace, and then you're going to add a layer named color, and you can put your swatches in there. And then we're going to go over that envelope size, how to create that. You may create a different envelope. You just have to make sure that it folds down the correct size when you're done. This is the basic mailing instructions. So if you're not aware, a stamp goes in the right-hand corner, the return address goes in the left-hand corner, and the mailing address, you've got to leave this empty because it goes here. Now, I asked you to do on the inside a template that has a pattern. So yours will be laid out with one side is that envelope and the inside is the pattern. So one way you can do that when we start on the envelope is, so I've given you a PDF file that says sample over the top. You can place it, you can trace it, you can find another one. You just have to make sure it's the right size when you finish it out. So I'm going to start a new document in Illustrator. And so you can place a document, but first you need to start out with the correct sizing. So I just gave you that envelope size. Let me see, it's right here. We're going to make sure we have the correct, it's in my Acrobat, sorry, sizes. So it says also on the inside there, the envelope A2 size is 4.37 by 5.75. Let's go ahead and type those coordinates in. And I'm going to call this envelope when I'm done. So I just used the rectangle tool. I'm clicking once. .37. I've done it sideways. I'm going to have to flip it around here. Okay, and I'm just going to hold down Shift and spin on the corner. And then I can just start to build my envelope off of this if I have a different style. Now you can just place that PDF here. At full size. And you can trace over it too. I'm going to put on a separate layer from the one that I've gotten started here on. I'm going to send that to the back. And then this size should fit when it's folded down. 4.3, oh, mine's slightly off, so I'm going to just go into my properties, no big deal. In the properties, you can readjust the size as well. So my rectangle should be 5.75. It has the size up there, 4.375 by 5.75, and I can readjust it right there. And that will be the center point. Now, I do not want a line around this. I'm going to draw around this, and I'm going to lock down that layer, but I'm going to bring this one to the top layer first. So if you remember to make a new layer, and then I can pull that little dot there, it will move it up to the top layer. I'm going to lock that bottom layer down. And then I can just draw around this. I'm going to use a really light color, real faint, maybe like 40% black. And a thinner line weight. I don't want a huge stroke. So in my properties panel, I can change it there or in the stroke window. I'm going to go up to a 1/2 point stroke. And I'm just going to, with no fill color, create this envelope here. And then I can create one flap on one side and then reflect it to the other side. So for the bottom part here, I could also use, you know, a rounded rectangle tool as well. It's got a little curvature to it. So I'll show you how you can also do it this way and edit it. Remember, if you use your selection tool and I double click this corner here, I can isolate just to one corner and straighten it out. And then on this corner, I can add more curve. And on this one, if I double click it, I can isolate it and straighten that one out. I mean, you could also just trace this and draw this. But see how it's just doing that one corner when I double click on it. Now I can pick certain points. I'm going to make this a different color down here, so you can see the difference between what I'm tracing. Just make it blue so you can see. And then I can simply select or use certain points. So I'm going to actually bring it in and line it up on the bottom. And then I'm going to use the direct selection tool to pull this out and that one out. Oops, wrong one. This one out. Those points. And then if I want to add that curvature in there, I can, while I'm on my pen tool, hold down Option, and that will allow me to add those handles. All right, so, you know, if you need to pull them directly. So I'm just tracing over this area. Now I do not want here a closed path on this, so what I'm going to do is just simply add a point on that area, and then let me make sure I've got it right. Yeah, I did. Had it in the right place. I'm going to hit delete, so now that is an open point area. And then if I go to the delete anchor point tool, I'm going to take that one off right there. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the side. So I've drawn the top, the bottom. Now I can pick up, I'm going to pick up with that pen tool, and I could finish tracing this. So when you're all done tracing out this envelope, I'm going to show you how to make those crop marks so you can cut it out the correct way. All right, so I have this, and I've got a closed, semi-closed path over there, and then I'll trace the other side. The inside area, I'm not going to need it anymore. I do not want lines on the middle of my envelope, right? I don't need them, so I will just finish out the outside of this here, draw that side, and then for these crop marks, I'm definitely going to need those. So I could use a line tool. We haven't used a line segment tool a lot. I could just draw a line segment tool to mark these. These are outside of the area for print that you're going to print on, so no one will see these. Usually you don't want them really heavily. I have some that are dotted lines here. You can add a dotted line if you need to, but you do not have to. And then you want to make sure you get over those lines. Now, another quick way to check this is I'm going to use my rulers, Command R. I'm going to pull a guide. And make sure I'm lined up correctly with those. You know, really get in there. The reason you usually want to have a thinner stroke is so you can find it. You don't want a heavy stroke. It's hard to know where to lay your ruler down when we mock this up. So you just need a thin stroke, and you may have to zoom in and get these crop marks right in the right place. Now there's another way you can make crop marks, and I'll show you how to do that real too. I'm going to hit Command Z a few times and go back to when I had that rectangle right there. So this is another way you can do crop marks. I'm going to make this a hot pink color or something bright that you can see. So I'm just going to select that center line, the rectangle I drew, and you can draw crop marks individually, line them up with a ruler, but you can also go to trim marks. So I'm just going to type in trim right here. If you can never remember where it's at, that's okay. It's under effects, I believe. I'm going to type in, I got to hold over it for a second, trim, create trim marks. It's under object now. Okay. Object, create trim marks. And that is another way to create trim marks. It will automatically create them off whatever shape that you select. But I'm now going to give this a no color on both the inside and the outside, but it's going to keep those trim marks that I just drew. You see, I'm going to toggle that on and off over here so you can see the difference. So now I just have to finish out that other side of the flap, and I have the envelope drawn. Now there's a second artboard, right? So I'm going to do window, artboards. I'm going to add that second artboard. And this is the one I'm going to do a pattern on. And I just need to have a shape larger than that envelope to print with. So if you remember when we did our pattern, we've done this several times now. I'm going to hit Command X. I'm going to click the second page. I'm going to go Edit, Paste in Place. And I can fill this shape. Well, this is actually a little bit bigger than I would need. I can fill this shape with any pattern that I make. So that's where that scrap paper page that you can delete later comes in handy. So if I'm making a pattern, let's say you can make ghost pattern, a bat pattern, heart pattern, you know, whatever goes along with your card. Let's say I'm going to make a little star pattern. Maybe it's a star pattern, and I'll pick the color now. I'll make it look like I want it to now at the size I need it at. If you know, you can make several till you get the right pattern that you're looking for. And you know, if I want that on a stroke, I want a rounded cap and corner, right? So I'll go to Window, Stroke, rounded cap and corner. You know, and if I wanted to spin it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to make a pattern now. I'm going to select the image, Object, Pattern, Make. And then I can also go into here and choose, you know, if I click this button, I can space them out a little bit. I can choose, you know, whatever kind of pattern I want to make, and then I'll click up here. It's in isolation mode. I'll click up here at the top, Done. All right, I'm going to delete this little images on my scrap paper. I'm going to select this right here, this shape that is larger than my envelope template, and I am going to, whoops, it's in my swatches. I got to go to my swatches. And I can pick a different view. If this is a hard view, I can go to, you know, medium thumbnail view. It's right there. But if you want to clean out these swatches to only colors you're using, you can go select all unused. And I can delete them. But first you have to use it with something. So I'm going to select it. Make sure you don't have the stroke you're using on the fill. And now I can go to select all unused. And I can hit delete. So I've got the pattern on the inside of my envelope template, and I know my template is the correct size. I placed it and traced it, but I put that rectangle in there at the correct size first. So it is just the right size. And once I have the other side created, I can print this front to back with a pattern on the inside. So make sure you save that one. I'm going to call it envelope, and then, you know, put your name after it. It's an A2 envelope, not to get this confused with the one we will do later that is a number 10 envelope. So it's an A2 envelope, put your name after it, and save it to the folder that you're working on. So make sure you put it in a nice, neat, you know, folder. And then if I wanted to save a PDF of this one, file save, and I can save a copy as a PDF. I don't need a PDF really for working with this, but once I add some typefaces, that PDF comes in handy. And then in that PDF, I'll have multiple pages there. Got a little spinning rainbow for a minute. And I don't need this extra page. So let me show you how to delete it both in a PDF and in the file. So I'm going to select that last page. There we go. I just have to hit save over it. Here, to get rid of an artboard, just select the artboard, double click on it, hit the trash can when you're done with it. You know, it may not delete all the artwork on it. You may just have to do that. Command S and save this file again. Make sure you hit Command S frequently and save frequently. Now let's get